Kids doing better?
Yeah. And
Okay.
we're live here on YouTube. Gotta work on that. In my
Yeah.
brain, it's so still live here on Facebook. But no, we're live on YouTube. And I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast land and also my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mike. A little tired as we've been doing a garage sale out in Coal Valley the past couple of days. But it's gonna be worth it when it's all said and done, though.
Oh
Getting
man,
a house and some extra money in the bank account.
yeah, I get that. We're tired. We did lots of driving this week. We went all as far as Devil's Tower, but also all the way to um, we spent a lot of time in Rapid City this week, which is about 7 hours from us. So,
Yeah. So you did Custer State Park and Mount Rushmore and the Crazy Horse Monument too, didn't you, Mike?
yeah, we did, and a couple other small things in Rapid City. If you ever go, the dinosaur park is not a park with dinosaurs. It's a mountain hike that has dinosaurs at the top. That's all it
Mm.
is. So,
So a little bit. So would that type of thing be worth a stop, or is it a pure tourist trap that you got sucked into?
um, I did not find it to be a adequate. It is not something I would do again.
Okay.
Um, eh, Literally, the biggest thing that they have is, the Sinclair dinosaurs.
Yeah, from the gas stations.
The giant ones that they have at like, there's one in Wall at the Wall, with the exit for Wall Drugs. We also did Wall Drugs, by the way. Um,
Okay.
the exit for that one, they have a giant one there. Well, it's the exact same uh what's it, Brachiosaurus or whatever that thing is called, the long neck dinosaur thing.
Yeah, I think so.
um it's the same one of those is at the top, and it's the same giant one that they have at Wall Drug. Like, and
Or the same size one that they have at your gas station
no,
there in
no, no, no,
Exeterville?
no, 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 no.
Okay.
This
A
is
little
like a
smaller.
this is like a 20 to 30 foot, maybe 50 foot tall one, but uh, it is still, it's just a Sinclair dinosaur. At the end of the day, they also have a couple other. They have a Plateosaurus and a T Rex and a Stegosaurus, or a Triceratops or a Stegosaurus. I don't remember, but uh, they're all in the same exact vein. Like, it looks exactly the same
Hmm.
as. So when you're looking at the dinosaurs, they all look like they were made in the same factory by the same people. Same color, same paint scheme. Everything's exactly the same.
Except you had to go uphill to see them instead of pulling into a gas station.
Yep, pretty much. I
Okay.
mean, and again, they did have like 4 or 5 different ones, not just the Brachiosaurus, but the other ones as well, which is cool-ish, but yeah, a little underwhelming. We thought it was going to be more of a park. It was less of a park and more a hike. Because again, you're doing it with a stroller uphill. Yeah,
Gotcha. But at least it got you out of the car for a little while, gave you a chance to stretch,
it
though.
did, and it was a day that we really did take quite easily. We ended up took the babies to the pool at the hotel. They loved it. The hotel we stayed at was way better. Like, I I was looking at hotels, and hotels were going to be stupid expensive, and then we saw one in a decent price range, and we booked it. And I'm like, man, please let it not be terrible. It ended up truly being a 3-star hotel. Um, no breakfast, but the rest of it was awesome. Like, it had an indoor, it had a water slide inside.
Hmm.
The pool area was nice. The kids enjoyed it. My Our daughter loved it. The son not so much, but he figured it out and kind of enjoyed it. Um, didn't get to use the hot tub, but overall it was a great stay. We're if we go back to Rapid City, we will go back again to that hotel. Like, that's kind of where we were at on it. But yeah, we had a great time. Yeah, and Devil's Tower was more awe-inspiring than I thought it was going to be, and Mount Rushmore was exactly what I thought it was going to be. That was a little weird to me. I don't know if you've ever had that. Like, Mount Rushmore seemed like a letdown, not because it wasn't awesome, but it was exactly what you expect of Mount Rushmore, which is cool. But when you just went to, like, we went to Devil's Tower the first day we were out there, and when we got there, like, I expected it to just be a giant butte, and it was, but it was so much cooler than that. Like, I don't know why it impressed me so much, but it really did. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we're glad you had a good time. We're glad you were back, and we were able to do a show together this week.
Yep.
Um,
At a fairly normal time.
at a normal time, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. So this week we're going to be talking the NBA Finals. Supposedly they're a lot more lopsided than I was expecting, but we'll get into those when we get there. And we'll be going into the NASCAR corner as always. Mike, what else are we going to be talking about on this, hopefully over the next 45 to 60 minutes, Mike?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the Stanley Cup Finals. Again, lopsided, as well as, Rich, we got to do it. We got to talk MLB and how terrible the Cubs are. Yeah.
We do.
And we're done with football for a little bit after today. Well, I guess.
Well, no, we'll have 2 weeks. We'll this week and next week, and then we'll be done with football for a little while, and we'll give our take on the continued Caitlin Clark saga, but this time talking about it with her exclusion from the Olympic team. But Mike, all that and more, but what do we got to do first, bud?
We got to roll the intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich, before we do any of that, we have to talk about a poll question. Poll question this last week. We just continued the one we did from the week before, mostly because I hadn't shared it. I'd forgotten to do it. And we had only had almost half the time, a little bit more than that. But we hadn't gone quite as long as we normally do. So I shared it out. It did get 11 votes, so a total of 11 votes. So we got 8 more votes this week than we did last week. So, Rich, it was pancakes versus waffles. We both expressed that our favorites were waffles last week. Waffles did win. What's up?
Oh, no. I actually flipped my vote because of what you said about pancakes. You reminded me about pancakes. So, Mike, give the results first, and then I'll talk.
You went with pancakes because of Swedish pancakes?
I did. They are a type of pancake, a very specialty type of pancake. But
okay, well,
any type of pancake. If it's going to be a little Swedish, we call them skinny pancakes in our house.
They're crepes.
In our household.
They're basically crepes with cinnamon sugar.
Like them.
But I do love them too. I don't. I'm not saying no. I love Swedish pancakes. That's what we do. So we use them as our traditional Christmas breakfast while we start watching Lord of the Rings. But waffles wins 7-4. Let me give a shout out to those voting for pancakes: Matt Wells, Josh Hendricks, Danielle Hart. Rich, your flip-flop vote. You're a flip-flopper.
I know.
If you ever run for office, I'm going to call you out on being a flip-flopper. The 7 votes for waffles are me, Sue Hart, Michelle Phillips, Keaton Werner, Ashley Shrepek, David Enfield, and Jason Flanker. Okay, with that, we will move to the cereal round that we were supposed to be doing this week. Rich, tell the folks what that looks like.
We're going to go with Lucky Charms and Fruity Pebbles, and you can find that poll over on Facebook at Fans of Balls and Sticks or Balls and Sticks Podcast. And Mike and I usually try to share it as well to get it out so we can get a good distribution of votes. So if you vote, make sure if you leave a comment on the poll or just by simply voting, you'll get a show shout out during next week's show.
Yeah. So, Rich, with that, let's move on to
The playoffs.
playoffs.
All right, Mike.
We
So
got
we'll start
lots.
with
We actually need to move UFL up to here too, because that's
yeah,
finals.
we do. We do.
That's playoffs.
We can slide it up here if you want. But the NBA Finals, the Mavericks and the Celtics. This is what we decided to do our lunch bet on, and the Celtics are up 3-1. Game 5 being Monday in Boston.
You know why this happened, right?
Why is that, Mike?
The Mavs took Luka's beer away from him.
They took his beer away from
They
him.
told him he can't drink beer during the finals.
Well, they took the beer away from him because it sounded like he was celebrating too much. Like an old guard, Michael Finley, if I remember right, was the Mavs employee who took it away from him. Say, there's nothing to celebrate yet. We haven't won nothing yet.
Yeah, but the man should at least be allowed to drink. He's foreign. They drink beer like it's water.
Hmm.
This is rough for him.
So maybe that's it. You had Kyrie Irving. They were making an effect of that as a visiting player in Boston ever since he left Boston from being a member of the Celtics. He hasn't won a game in Boston.
Yeah, that's rough too. Like,
where's Game 5 going to be?
in
In the Fleet Center.
Yeah. So I mean, man, this is gonna be. I'm not sure, Rich.
It's going to be rough. I think Joe Mazzulla, has come out. He warned his team, don't let him back into it.
Yeah.
Don't take this lead for granted. So maybe the Mavs can make a series of it and it can go 6 or 7, but if anything, the deeper lineup of the Celtics is starting to. That's where they're getting their advantage from.
Yeah. So I hope that the Mavs win, but it's been a long good this is going to be your second win in 4 years.
Yeah, it's been. I always tend to get the wrong side of it.
Yeah, so I'm all good with it. And I really do. I think the Mavericks should play better, but man, speaking of the NBA, we do need to talk about the tragic loss of the logo as Jerry West died this week at the age of 86.
Yeah.
Man, I never got to see him play, but I've seen some videos, and it's crazy. He's the man that developed the jump shot. The originator of the jump shot in the NBA and in college. Jerry West.
Yeah, I think for us, Mike, we almost see him as we more know him as the executive.
Right.
Jerry West, not necessarily as
By the way,
player.
A Hall of Fame career as an executive. Could have been 100% a Hall of Fame player as an executive.
Exactly. He built those 3P. He was the reason why the Lakers have at least 5 of their championships.
Yeah.
Between drafting and trading for Kobe Bryant, bringing Shaq into LA from Orlando, and then turning around and building another 2 championships around a Kobe Bryant, Paul Gasol team.
Yeah. So and then on top of it, as just the logo itself, the marketing aspect of using him as the logo, the man deserves way more credit than he ever gets. And don't get me wrong, being the logo is a huge amount of credit, there's so much more that goes into Jerry West than just being the logo. And yeah, it's rough. I think so for me. And again, I don't know about you. I didn't take it that hard, but then I was watching guys, and the biggest one was Dan Patrick. I don't know if you saw the show at all. Dan got got it on the show live,
Mm.
and like legitimately was emotional. He talked about how uh, growing up, Jerry West was his idol, and as he got older and he tried to emulate Jerry West as we did with Michael Jordan, if you will, and then years later, he made he did an interview and became friends with Jerry West, and it no longer. And again, if you watch the show regularly, and this was my take on it, it went from being he's my idol to kind of being a surrogate dad, because Dan Patrick's dad died when Dan was quite young, and so just it's not just a friend, and it's not just an idol. It's someone. It's that uncle that's like the second father to you, and that's rough to see. And for many in our parents' generation, he was the man, and so it's rough to see it's rough to see a loss like this. I mean, we remember how emotional it was when Kobe died. Like that was a tragedy, and we all remember that. And to see that, and then now have our parents' generation go through that with Jerry West is just, it's crazy to me.
Yeah, and the Jerry West. I mean, even if we forgot to mention on the show, it was a couple weeks ago. We had Bill Walton pass away
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
in the NBA community.
let's. And I'm gonna make a statement that's gonna sound terrible. We're at that point where these guys are getting to that age.
Hmm.
Like these older gentlemen, these guys that are our parents watched growing up, they're our grandparents' age, and I only have one grandparent left. So, but we do know that greatness lives on. Jerry West continues to be the logo. Whether or not the NBA ever wants to admit it, Jerry West is the logo. So, yeah, hopefully he knew who Jesus was before he died, and he gave his life to him. With that, let's head over to the Stanley Cup. As man, once again, we are very lopsided. Rich, if we were doing 2 lunch bets, you probably would have gotten 2 lunches out of this. Because I would have
Unless
picked the
I
Oilers.
got there first, unless I got the pick first.
Yeah.
Because you took the Mavs. You already had the Mavs penciled in, and so I want the Mavs.
Yeah.
I had the Oilers already penciled in on the outline, and you agreed with me instead of going the opposite direction like we normally do.
If I would have gone with the Panthers, man, I would have been happy. We would have had a push for lunch. But as it is, the Oilers are up. Or no, you would have.
The Panthers. It would be a wash because I had the Oilers on the outline before you filled it in when we talked last week. But the Panthers are currently up 3-0 with Game 4 being tonight. I mean, I guess it's not really that much of a surprise. I forgot to consider that the Panthers were the runner-up last year.
It's true.
Last year. So it isn't like they're coming out of nowhere and taking the Stanley Cup. I just didn't expect it to potentially be going down to a sweep or even a gentleman's sweep of maybe it's going to be a 4-1 series, a 5-game series.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy to me. By the way, if both would have swept, it would have been the first time since like 1993 that both the NHL and NBA were sweeps. But it's not. So we'll move
All right,
forward.
and finally, our final playoff talk. We're going to go over to the gridiron with the UFL. So we
Yeah.
have the XFL conference, the San Antonio Baramas and the St. Louis Battlehawks. It was a 25-15 San Antonio win as
Yep.
they win the rubber match. Teams played twice back to back, so that was a tough draw, but that's the way it happened. And in the USFL conference, you had the Michigan Panthers and the Birmingham Stallions. Birmingham won 31-18, setting up a championship game of Birmingham, Alabama versus the San Antonio, live from St. Louis at the Dome of the Americas. Mike, who are you going to take?
San Antonio? I think I'm going to take San Antonio because I'm going to go with the XFL team.
Okay, I'm going to go with Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, you and your Forrest Gump.
Yeah. So all right. So next week we'll kind of recap this, and since it was a successful or somewhat successful year one of the USFL, maybe we'll look at next steps for the league. Maybe should they expand? Do they keep? Do they move any markets? Do
Did I
they?
see that your Memphis team guaranteed themselves the number one overall pick?
No, they did not.
Oh,
They got the second overall pick
that's right.
because
Second.
they lost to Houston.
Yeah,
Their last game
yeah.
was
So,
so my the Memphis Showboats, the team that I followed all
yeah,
year long, will wind up with the number two pick because they just had to win their final game.
yeah. Um, okay.
Oh, we did miss something in hockey. It was announced that the Utah Hockey unveiled their colors. Has unveiled their colors for the upcoming season, and that their temporary name and logo will just be Hockey Club Utah.
I thought it
So
was
your
Utah
team
Hockey
colors,
Club.
yeah, one of the two, I guess. Yeah, I guess it is
Utah Hockey
Utah
Club.
Hockey Club. So their colors will be a rock black, salt white, and mountain blue, kind of like a Carolina or like a sky blue.
Yeah,
And they said the color scheme is going to be the permanent color scheme. It's just the name is good. The name that's selected will fit that scheme.
yeah. I kind of like it as a team, as a thing. Um, Here in the states, we love having logos and mascots and blah blah blah. I don't mind having it just called the hockey club. I like that it's a hockey club and not a team.
All right. So their permanent name that won't take effect until 25-26. In the running, along with the hockey club, are the Mammoth, the Yeti, the Outlaws, the Blizzard, and the Venom. Those were the names that have moved on in the fan voting.
Yeah. Oh, I think I think it'll probably end up being Yeti, but whatever. I
I
don't
think
think it. I don't think it matters.
I think I kind of like Blizzard at this point. With what fits the color scheme. I think if they had done Mammoth, you would have had to have somehow worked brown into that color scheme. And when I think Outlaws, I don't think of the state of Utah as an outlaw.
Yeah, no. I think
So
it
for
would be
me, it'd
blue.
have to be Yeti or Blizzard because that kind of
Yeah,
fits that color scheme that they've already said this is going to be our color scheme. We just don't. We're just going to not reveal the name until next year. So if anything, that gives them time to get some design and get some feedback on what they think the team name is going to be, whether that's through fan vote or the ownership saying if this is the name that won out because of a fan vote. So
yeah,
let them secure some trademarks and get some logo designs out there so they're not rushing into things.
yeah. And I'm good with that. Like I said, I don't mind. Taking your time is generally a better move than anything. Um, so yeah. With that, Rich, do you see what's coming up next?
Is it a left hand turn?
It is Rich, and after that,
It's probably another left-hand turn, Mike.
That is accurate because we are heading into the NASCAR corner. Presented as always by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out for all your sports memorabilia needs on Fifth Avenue in Moline or on their eBay store. Once again, that is Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Rich, last week we were at the Toyota Save Mart 350 in Sonoma. Tell us how it went.
Well, Mike, your winner was Kyle Larson. My pick of Chase Elliott came in fourth. Your pick of Josh Berry came in 33rd, tying our score at 10-10 as we head into the second half of the NASCAR season, where the broadcasting crew shifts from Fox over to NBC USA.
Yep.
So, Mike, once again, we had another finish impacted by fuel usage as Martin Truex Jr. dropped from the lead all the way down the 24th because he ran out of gas. On a road course, it's not as big of a surprise because different strategies tend to happen in road courses. Um, but it was kind of funny to see not only the announcing kind of like coaxing the crowd to cheer on Martin as he was limping and going to the limping his way to the finish line to get it across the finish line, but also the fans cheering him as he was inching closer and closer to the finish line
Yep.
without having to be pushed or not finishing at all because he ran out of gas.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's a road course thing. I'm not surprised. I'm glad that they. I mean, if you don't gamble, you're never gonna win. That's kind of the way that goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember, Martin already has a win this year.
I don't think that he does have a win yet this year.
Let me check.
And then, of course, your race winner was Kyle Larson, picking up another win to his total.
Okay, let me. Well, here, we can do it this way. We're both looking it up. He does not have a win. Okay. Okay. Well. Yeah, I mean, you gotta getting a win's gonna make a difference, so you kind of got to go for that, I suppose.
Yeah, and speaking of Martin Truex Jr., he formally announced his retirement from running a full-time slate in the Cup Series. So
Yeah.
that opens up a seat in the number 19 car um, at Joe Gibbs Racing next year.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer.
A bummer, yes, but I don't think it's unexpected because it seems like over the past 2 or 3 years, or heck, even since I've been following NASCAR, it seems like Truex has been on 1-year deals. And there's always the talk of, is Truex going to come back for another year?
Yeah, and that's been a problem for a while. So I'm not surprised, but you know, I think he still has years of ability left in him, but I think it's honestly a lot of it has to do with desire. Does he want to keep racing every week? Why race every week at all? Why would you race every week at this point? He's done. And do you blame him? It's a
No.
huge commitment, and it takes so much effort. I can't blame a guy for wanting to get out and wanting to get enjoy just being he's made a good amount of money, man. The guy is well off. Probably doesn't have to worry about any financial issues ever again. So why would you care? Genuinely, it's kind of where I'm at.
Okay. So yeah, so hopefully the season goes well for Martin and he can maybe go out on top and maybe make a surprise run at the Final Four or maybe win the whole stinking thing as he rides off into the sunset next year. So as we get more details about who could be taking over the number 19, we'll probably make sure to talk about it on the show. And with that, Mike,
By the way, my prediction on that is look at Tony Stewart's team.
yeah, one of those drivers, I could see one of those drivers taking the seat as well.
I mean, the big thing is that Tony Stewart used to be like he developed as a Gibbs driver, so there's that. And even beyond that, those guys are needing rides. So look for one of those guys to be the next up, and that's my prediction. But I think it's a pretty easy prediction to make.
Who do you think it is? Who do you think will get the spot, Mike?
Um,
It's like I've heard it's going to be Bisco, Chase Briscoe coming over.
yeah, I can. Man, I think if you're looking for to bring a guy on that is immediate, you look at Chase Briscoe. If you're looking for the long term, you either look at Josh Berry or more accurately, I would say Ryan Pierce,
Hmm.
Ryan Priest.
Okay. I mean, a lot of people are also thinking Noah Gregson because he already has a sponsorship with Bass Pro, who's the primary sponsor of the 19.
Yeah,
But supposedly there's a little bit of bad blood between him and Ty Gibbs. You know, Ty Gibbs isn't going to go anywhere.
yeah. When Grandpa's the one paying your bills, you don't generally have to worry about going anywhere. So that's a bit of a bummer. Yeah, we'll see.
All right, Mike. Now we got to turn our eyes to this week's race, which will be out in Newton, Iowa, our backyard, for the Iowa Corn 350 at the Iowa Speedway. Um, we, Mike, who do you like this week? Nobody. If anybody has experience on this track, it's either in a test environment with the Goodyear tire test or in the lower series by racing at this track in the Xfinity or the Truck Series.
Yeah, and I'm going to take a guy that has raced at this track with the Xfinity Series.
Okay.
He also is going to steal the show. Very scientific. I'm using a very scientific method on how I'm picking who I'm going to pick this week, Rich.
Me too, Mike. So go ahead and tell. So who is the pick? And explain how he's going to steal the show.
It's Tyler Reddick.
Okay.
He's got the Hamburglar. The Hamburglar always steals the show.
All right. I like that pick. I have Reddick in my fantasy lineup, but I'm going to go with a guy that tends to have a knack for winning an inaugural race in the Cup Series when they come to a new track, and that'd be Joey Logano. He won the inaugural race. He's won inaugural races at the Coliseum, North Wilkesboro, Bristol Dirt, Gateway. I think there was one other one, but it's escaped me right now. So Joey Legs for me, Mike.
Okay, I'm good with that. I like it. I think there's worse guys out there, so yeah, go with it.
All right, so make sure to catch that race. It's going to be a night race at 6 o'clock Eastern, Mike, and that's going to be over on the USA Network.
Yeah, I'm part of the reason why I was like, we need to be back for the weekend is that I wanted to watch that race. I did. So
yeah, I'll probably be watching it on replay as we have some Father's Day plans in the evening, so we're not going to get to probably watch it live.
my father-in-law is busy My father is 5 hours away. I'll give him a call, but other than that, I'm gonna sit and just watch. We're cooking steaks and stuff, and yeah. Um, so we're excited. Okay, with that, Rich, let's keep making left turns as we have to give the winner of the Belmont Stakes.
All right, Mike, your winner was Donatech. My pick of Mindframe came in second, and Mike Sees the Gray did not place. I was having trouble
Yeah.
finding an accurate website for the Belmont Stakes that gave the finishing order beyond third place and
Doesn't
could not
matter.
find it. What was it?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. He did not place. So, Mike, that gives me the advantage of getting two of the three Triple Crown picks right with horse racing. So we'll put that right back on the back burner and we'll revisit horse racing when it comes time for the Kentucky Derby next year. So, Mike, we're going to keep making left-hand turns. And unfortunately, we got to turn in the dirt. We got to turn our attention to the MLB. And
speaking of the dirt, this is how bad the Cubs have been. So bad that they have been playing in the dirt.
They really have. From show to show, they had 3 games with the Reds, 3 with the Rays, 1 with the Cardinals. I think they only won 2 games out of this, Mike. 2 games. I mean, the Cardinals are playing just as bad. The Rays aren't the Rays this year, and the Reds are kind of maybe coming back down to earth after a lot of people picked them to be like a trendy sleeper pick to make the playoffs. And
yeah, it's been rough.
Just been a rough stretch.
So I'm checking to see if we might be able to get a guest on. To see if we can. A friend of the show has a lot to say, and I might see if I can get him to call. If I can add him to our call.
But currently, right now, Mike, the Cubs are in last place, 33 and 37. And I think, Mike, we've always kind of poked fun about how bad the White Sox are doing. And while we're 33 and 37, the White Sox are 18 and 53. Worse, but is it really that much better?
No. I think we're gonna get a friend of the show on. Let me see if he's up for it. Yeah, I think they are playing as the worst team in baseball right now. I mean, legitimately. So let me do this real quick. I'm gonna go directly to me. Wow, I forgot that I had done that at one point in time.
Yeah, that they did only get 2 wins out of that week. As they of those 3 games, Mike, they lost 2 of 3 to the Cincinnati. They lost 2 of 3 to Tampa Bay, and they lost yesterday to the St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay, joining us on the show is friend of the show, Nick Baker. Nick, how you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. It's a beautiful sunny day in California.
Yeah. So welcome to Balls and Six podcast. You and I have been talking all season, and you have some stuff to say, and I agree with you a bit on this. So go ahead. What do you think currently of the Cubs situation?
First off, hey, Rich. Good to see you. So, yeah, it's been a very frustrating season. I mean, obviously, we started out pretty strong, and really our starting pitching's been pretty incredible for the most part of all year. But personally, and I've mentioned this to Mikey a couple times, I actually have not been impressed by a single thing that Craig Counsell has done. Um,
Hmm.
you know, I've watched probably 90% of every inning of every game this year.
Yeah.
So I I have a good grid on it, and in fact I'm watching right now. But the I mean, to me his bullpen usage has actually been a detriment, which was what they said was a strength coming out of Milwaukee.
Yep.
Um, but I guess I wish that managers would just like watch the game on a TV screen, because I feel like it gives you a different perspective. Because I'll watch it and be like, wow, this guy's stuff is great today. He's killing it. Nobody can hit him, and he pulls them after 12 pitches and two batters. And it's like, what? No, leave him in. Like, and then you bring somebody else in, and that guy walks two guys, hits another, gives up three singles. Um, you know, and our obviously our bullpen is a major issue right now. Um, I don't know. I wish that I could do a deep dive into the stats, but I would believe that at least 70% of every game, the bullpen gives up a run in the first inning that they come in to pitch. I have never seen it in my life. And I've watched thousands and thousands of games. I mean, they literally cannot get through one inning without giving up a run, at least one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
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 sorry. I'm
no, you're good. But so we like being positive here. I agree with what you're saying. What improvements? What is there any hope that you're seeing in the team right now?
Well, I mean, anytime you have the starting pitching we do, right? So if you look at Imanaga and Javier Assad, they're both top 10 in the majors right now in ERA, right? Then you have Justin Steele, who's had a rough patch when he first came back, but now he's getting back into form. So, you know, I mean, I now we have a couple injuries that just happened too, but I think anytime you have starting pitching, there's a chance, right?
Yeah.
And we're getting Yency Almonte back soon for the bullpen. We have to go pick up probably two bullpen arms, before the trade deadline. And if we can do that, you know, then I think all of a sudden, we start these games where we have 1-2 run lead going into the seventh. We start winning 90% of them instead of losing half of them.
My problem with that is that over and I don't remember we've had multiple runs where over 10 to 15 games we're showing less than one hit a game.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
so
I mean,
the problem isn't like, yes, solving the bullpen helps, but when you're not producing on offense, that's my biggest problem. Our offense hasn't been supporting our pitching. If the pitchers are out there doing what they're doing, and like you said, the starting pitching has been great, but if our bats don't produce enough, then how do we keep that consistent and make it so that we're giving that lead and we're giving our starters a chance?
the answer is you don't. You lose. I mean, you cannot win ball games scoring 2.5 runs a game, and that's what we've been doing the last month.
Yeah.
I mean, it's case in point. Like literally right now, or in the last inning, the Cubs had first and second, nobody out. We struck out, popped out, and struck out. I think didn't even advance the runners, right? Meanwhile, the next inning, the Cardinals get a leadoff double, ground out to advance the runner to third, fly out to outfield, score the run on the sac fly. It's like it's that simple.
Yeah.
Yet, nope. And same, we have first and third, nobody out right now, and Hap strikes out. It's like just put the ball in play and you score a run.
Yep.
And we can't. Like
No.
like like I would trade an out for a run all day, and we can't even do it. We can't even get an out to score.
Yeah.
You know, like we are very, very poor on offense right now. And to me, it's like I honestly don't even know who our hitting coach is. I don't know if Council brought over his with him or if we retained the one from last year. But something's got to change. I mean, this is horrible on offense, and it's not just we're slumping. It's like I watched the at bats, and it's like Horner struck out that when we had first and second, nobody out. He swung at 2 pitches out of the zone, and then watches a called third strike, and it's like, well, what are you doing?
So
like you'll swing at the balls, and then you watch the strike. Like
so we did return Dustin Kelly from last year as our hitting coach.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, so last year I wouldn't say was very impressive either.
Yeah.
Obviously we had a hot streak for what, 2 months, and a lot of that was Bellinger last year. He was batting like 400.
Yeah.
For like a 2-month period.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt. So to me it's the approach. Like I was fully expecting, what was it, last week we were playing somebody and we pretty much were dominant. We were up 4-1, but it felt like we were dominating.
Yeah.
But 2 different times we had a guy on first and second, and we finally scored a run. We had a guy on first and second, nobody out, right? So to me, if you're up 2, 3, 4 runs, depending on the inning, all you care about is getting one more run. You don't need a 4-run inning, right? You're already up 3 runs.
Yeah.
So to me, in those situations, you should bunt the guys over. If 1 out of 2 times you get a sac fly, great, you're up 5-1, right?
Yeah.
So it's
the
like
problem, though,
it's
is
just
you're
a
asking,
philosophy.
You're asking a guy to bunt, and we don't teach bunting in the majors anymore. It's not a priority.
No,
I mean,
because the whole analytical thing is taking bunting out of the ball game because they don't want to give up an out.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I would agree with that sentiment if it wasn't that we go up there and just strike out anyways. So that's a completely unproductive out. If you bunt is somewhere in play in that situation, most likely you're going to advance a runner. I mean, I guess worst case they end up throwing the guy out at third and you're still first and second with 1 out, which is what you would have been by striking out anyways.
Yeah.
So and to me, that, like, I understand it's the dying art, but like, I'm sorry, you're a professional baseball player. You're supposed to be the best in the world at these things. So you need to be able to bunt.
Yep.
Like it's not, I'm not saying go up there and bunt down 6 inches from the line every time for a base hit. It's like, freaking just put the ball in play somewhere and gets the job done, And so, yeah, it's been very frustrating watching this year, especially because I think going into the year we were all like, okay, I think we should win the division.
We made great strides. We made great strides going into the year. We added where we needed to, and I think we were like that bullpen or that starting rotation gave us all the confidence in the world to say we're going to win a lot more games and we're going to be a team to terrorize the Central, at least terrorize it, if not, win it outright. And we're putting up lackluster performance, and again, I would argue that most of the issues have been on the offensive side, not even the defensive side. Not getting runs in situations where we should be getting out of an inning with a crooked letter, not even just 1 run, but getting out of it with crooked letters and ending up not putting anything on the board. That's what's killed us more than anything in the game right now. So Nick, this week we're going to count today's game. So We don't want to know the exact score. You have a little bit extra knowledge. I'm going to give you this week. We have today and tomorrow against the Cardinals. We have 3 against the Giants. We have 1 against the Mets. What is your prediction for how many wins they're going to get in the week?
Oh man. 4.
You're going to go with 4. Okay.
Yep.
We're
at home. We're at home. We have played better at home. Which I mean, if we were playing well, I would have said, 5, and if we were playing really well, I would have said 6. But we have been playing better at home.
I'm only going to give them 2.
Okay.
I'm only giving them 2.
I mean, so those teams that you mentioned, they're all teams within 2 games of us. They're all 500 or under.
But so here's part of my problem though. At the beginning of the year, how were we doing? We were on fire at the beginning of the year. We played really well.
Well,
and so our numbers are inflated. Our numbers are way inflated based on where we were at the beginning of the year. The first month and a half of the season, we were up high. We were what, 7, 8 games above 500?
9.
We got up to 9. You're right. So we got up to 9 above 500. So you say that these other teams are only 2 games away from it. But if you take away the first half of the season, we're not. We're well behind.
In the last month or 6 weeks, the only team worse than us is the White Sox, and they lost 13 games in a row.
Yeah.
But by the way, we have the worst offense or the batting average in baseball since May 16th.
Yeah.
At 207. Right? And so, our offense is horrible. So at the beginning of the year, think about this. Right?
That's why I can only give them 2 wins this week.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the year, we were crushing it offensively, right? Yeah. But it's just the comedy of errors, right?
Well, and the problem was and Rich doesn't like us talking about it. He doesn't mind it now. We've talked about it on the show. We had Kyle Hendricks as one of our starters, and last year I think we pushed him a little farther than we needed to as a starter. He didn't need to be a starter at the end of last year. He was not performing at starter level, but with his longevity in our organization, coming into a new season, being rested, we gave him that starter role, and I don't think they should have.
Oh, I agree. And I love Hendricks. Obviously, he was an integral part of us winning the World Series in 2016. He's ERA leader that year.
8 years ago, by the way. How you feel about that?
Yeah.
8 years ago.
I know. Well, I would feel fine about it if we were competing every year, but we're underperforming every year, it seems. But to me, what I haven't heard anybody talk about with Hendricks is, did he actually have a surgery?
I don't think he had any surgeries.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think he had a surgery, but remember he went down for a long time, and he ended up changing his arm mechanics because of it. And ever since he's come back with the different mechanics, not the same pitcher.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But he did it to prolong his career.
Yep.
Because it was tearing up his shoulder or whatever. But to me, you're going to be out of the league in a couple years anyways if you've got a 9 ERA. So
at the beginning of the year, he had a 12 ERA. He started the year, his first five starts, he had a 12 ERA.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to be in the league. Remember. You're not going to end. You're not even going to be in the league by the end of the year if you're posting a 12 ERA. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
sorry. What I was going to say, I never actually finished my point. At the beginning of the year, we had, I want to say we had 9 blown saves in 17 opportunities or something. I mean, it was so bad. The back end of the bullpen, we should have been 15 games over 500.
Yeah.
But we were blowing these games late, and obviously Alzolay looks like he might be done for the year now, which that's a blow from where he was last year. He was great. So like these are things that you have to give a pass on, so to speak, because you can't foresee somebody being injured for 6 months, right? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously a pitcher, he's probably going to be down for a stint at some point.
You figure a
But
pitcher
and
ends up on the 10-day at least once a year.
yeah, and then you have Julian Merriweather,
Merriweather.
uh, and he's out. He was our setup man.
Yep.
So our two best bullpen guys have been out most of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the big bullpen
You
signing of Hector Neris, he was expected to be the eighth inning guy, not the ninth inning guy. And so I
yeah,
mean, you can say that the bullpen's the problem, but when you're almost relying on them too much or expecting too much, when you're
yeah,
having
but
to protect 1 or 2 run games every single night, and you're missing all these
yes,
key
oh for
people.
sure, yeah, for sure. Like it's definitely the offense as well. Yeah, I mean, I look at so many games in the last month. It's like, gosh, if we scored 4 runs, we would have won this game.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, it's 1-0 going into the seventh, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, well, we're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
because we're not gonna score another freaking run, and
Nope.
so if our bullpen doesn't shut them down completely, then we're screwed, and they haven't been. So, but sorry, I didn't get to say earlier. You mentioned something about the defense. That actually might be the most disappointing to me of anything. Our defense is in the bottom third of the league,
Yeah.
right? And you're talking 4 Gold Glovers on the field at any time, and that doesn't count Suzuki, who won the equivalent of that in Japan a couple of times, right? Uh, I mean, it's crazy, and obviously we have third base is a black hole. I mean, like Morel literally has the worst defensive rating of any player in baseball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's so bad, and and our options B and C are only small steps better than that on defense. So we, in my mind, we've got to go out uh, and get a third baseman and or a catcher.
So, are you
Be-
willing to give up the prospects? The fact that, I mean, and this is what I think I said this last week or the week before. We have a ton of prospects that are outfielders. Let's get rid of some. Let's trade some of those guys off. Let's even trade some of our big leaguers off to get a third baseman and maybe an actual first baseman.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
That's,
I don't.
to me, where the answer
I don't
is.
mind. Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't mind if Bellinger decided to play first base all the time. Um,
I would
the
like that more if he committed
but
to that, but he hasn't committed. And until we
well, I don't know that. I'm not sure if it's him or not. I mean, you're
okay,
right,
fine, Craig, let's put him
but
there. Put him there every year.
right. Well, I agree that the issue you're seeing there is that Pete Crow Armstrong isn't hitting, you know, and so yes, he's an outstanding elite defender in center field, but he's batting 207, and he's not hitting home runs. So it's like it's hard. It's like
But how many
you
how many guys in our AAA farm system? And I know you said this on the text. This is part of why I wanted to bring you in on it. How many guys in the AAA system are guys that are ready to play now in other teams in the outfield? And if they're ready to play now, let's pull one of those guys up, put Carl Armstrong back down to AAA, and get that going. That's more where I think.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the question isn't, do we have them? Are they center fielders, right? Because the thing is, you've got Ian Happ locked up for a 4 or 5 year contract just last year, right? Which I would argue maybe wasn't worth it. Happ's a decent player, but offensively he's not special. I wish there's so many things I could talk literally all day, guys.
And we're gonna have to cut off here. I appreciate you coming in. we're gonna have you stick around as we end the show. We'll catch up just a little bit. Rich, your final thoughts. Let's do that before we roll into our quick hits and end the show.
I'm gonna have to go 2 wins. 2 wins as well. They're struggling too much right now, and they're relying on too many 1-2 run games to even get these wins. I guess one final, at least while we got Nick here, they're currently in last place, but only in the Central, 7.5 games back. They're only 2 games back of a third wild card, which could mean just getting to play 1 extra game. Is it worth trading off the top prospects, albeit ones that are blocked at the major league level, to potentially make a 1-game playoff and playing that game even on the road to potentially get a rental guy?
So I would say, in my opinion, yes, it's worth it, but with this caveat, I think you need to, if you're going to make the trade, go get somebody that you can either sign or is under team control for a few more years.
Okay.
Yeah, don't get a 6-month rental.
That's exactly what I was thinking there.
Yeah, third base is a hole. It's not our guy's injured and he's coming back.
Yeah.
Nope.
And we don't have a prospect. We don't have a prospect ready to come up. That's the other problem.
Right. There's nobody kicking in the door.
So
go.
By all means, Morel's in there for his bat. They have not been shy of saying that's why he's in the lineup. But and there really isn't. Like you're saying, is David Bodie or Nick Madrigal an upgrade defensively? Maybe, but you're going to be losing a lot on the offensive side by not.
Yeah, well, especially this year, because if Madrigal played like he did the second half of last year, where he went on a tear and he's batting 300 something, like I would rather have him in there. Yeah, he's not going to hit a home run, but if he's batting 320 and on base of 410, I'd rather have him in there than Morel. He's going to hit 30 home runs, but he's going to strike out 120 times, and so it just depends. It's just like a pick your poison. But I'm excited to hear the rumors. They're talking about going to get Diaz, the catcher.
I've heard Linus Diaz from the Rockies, Pete Alonso from the Mets. But no,
and I think Diaz,
we need a catcher and we would use a third baseman, but that still doesn't solve the problem at third base.
Yeah, done.
Correct. Okay. Which is a problem.
Guys, with that, we do have to wrap up. We'll skip the quick hits. Couple of great stories to come out of baseball this week. Paul Skynes and the St. Louis fans gave him a standing O. Pitched a great game, 103 pitches. Just was gassed, had to come out, gave up his first hit in the game, and as he comes off the field, St. Louis fans giving a standing O. I love seeing that, and an organization honoring a great game by someone else, even if it's your opposing team. And also the one of my favorite plays, an in the park grand slam, albeit with an error added in, the Rockies erasing a 4-run deficit with a in the park grand slam. Great. Love watching
I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, it was great. I'll send you the link. And it's fun to watch. Okay, with that, Rich, do you have any shout outs?
I do not.
Yeah, you do. What's tomorrow?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, tomorrow is Father's Day, so yeah, a happy Father's Day to Ron and my dad, Mark.
And I'd like to say happy Father's Day to Joe Hart. Thank you for being a great example. And to my father-in-law, Tony Phillips. Nick, do you want to give any shout-outs before we get out of here?
Sure. I'll give a shout-out to my dad, Richard, back in Illinois. Even though he's not a huge Cub fan in Illinois country, but
it's all right.
That's all right.
And with that, Rich, what's it time to do?
Mike, go ahead and roll that outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.